Hi everyone, my name is Pamela Rodriguez and I've been in the tech industry for over 10 years, mostly on web development, front-end design projects. So today, that's why I'm going to talk about WordPress because it's a good introduction to building websites, and not only building websites, but building websites with CMS systems, which is content management systems. There's a lot of them in existence right now, and most of them use the same concepts. Like if you start with WordPress and you want to later become more technical and jump into Drupal, WordPress is a very simple and good gateway to do this. So that's why I always recommend to start with WordPress, even though professionally you might not use WordPress, but it will help you with the initial terminology. And it's a very good option that exists to start fully online. You don't have to install anything to start working with the concepts and get a site out there. So I'm going to start from the bottom. Just this is what you get when you go into WordPress.com. You have to enter through WordPress.com because if you go to WordPress.org, which might be the first result you get if you just Google, it's gonna tell you to install WordPress to download it, and that's not what you want if you're just starting to have to start servers on your computer. So just go directly to WordPress.com, and if you click on Get Started, you can start a new account. I'm gonna use my spam account just because I already have an account on my other uh, the other email that I normally use. And just set up a password.
Sketchy Pam, I love it.
And tell you to use a domain, but you do not need to set up a domain. Let me try and get here the Sketchpam directly, and it'll give you the free option. Now, depending on how specific you make your domain name, like mine apparently is available, but if you go with something very usual, like I don't know, my name. Let me see. Okay, so my name obviously already pamela.wordpress.com already exists because WordPress has been around for a while, so it'll give you something like this, like a full on a lot of numbers behind that WordPress. So I recommend going a bit more specific with your domain so that you can find something without numbers because, well, there's a lot of people on here already. Apparently, Sketchpad is free, so I can use this one. Look for the one that says free because otherwise it's just trying to charge you for a domain. That's something that you can invest on later if you want to keep the site, but just to start off, you don't need to pay. And that's why I wanted to do this with you guys because it hits you with a lot of paywalls as you start the process, and you just have to find with the start free and go through the free options just to start off. And then finally you get here. This is the main administration page, and you may be a bit overwhelmed when you get here because there's a lot of options. I can say up front that not of all of them are useful to you because a lot of them are just available if you pay. So let's go through the options that are actually available to you without paying. The first one is posts, which if you use posts, it'll take consider them articles of your blog. So you go here, you usually see your posts. It already has one as an example just to show you how it'll look, but I'll get there later to all the terminology. Then you have media. If you upload images, they'll come up here. It already has something as an example of how you'll see them. Then you have the pages, which is what you'll see in the menu or what you will be able to see in the menu. And the comments page where when someone comments, you can either remove it if they're being rude or approve it or know which ones are the new ones so that you can reply to them. And then the first thing I'm gonna talk about, which is appearance. Right now, your site, let me go to it. If you go to my here, home, I can't I can't see it. Oh, here. This is what your site looks like now. Like it's out of the box. And you can change a lot of this, started with the appearance, which is the theme. You have a lot of options free available to you, and they may not be the most customized one, but you do have some options to customize them. Don't worry. Just look for the template or the distribution of content that you are most looking for in your site. For example, you click on one of these, and then it'll load. Oh, wait. Here's, okay, before I change the theme, this is the customizer that you'll see with any theme that you get. You can change the site identity, which is the title here, like Pamela's blog, for example, and you'll see how it'll look in your site. Depending on your on the theme that you chose, you may be able to see a tagline like my articles. In this case, it does show up. It depends on the theme, like I said, because some of the themes are just considering that you'll have a title and they don't have space for the tagline. Or you can choose to not choose the title and the tagline, depending on if you have a logo, which you can upload here and it'll appear on the same place that the title is. And there's little stuff like that that you can customize from your themes. For example, if I see a different theme here, this is called more than, you can just check that it's free to activate, and you see how it'll look once you activate it. Right here. And you can even open a demo so you can browse through it or check how it'll look on a tablet or on a phone. And if you are ready to go with this one, you can just activate it here. It'll tell you how it'll change from one side to the other. Like, are you sure? you might be breaking something, and not necessarily if you haven't done a lot of customization, and you just activate. And you can go directly to view your site or continue editing. Okay, so now it looks like this. Okay, it took me to a page. Let me go back. Other things to consider about your appearance, apart from this, the themes, you can go here to customize it. There's also widgets available, though they also depend on the theme that you're working with. For example, here in this theme, you can only add widgets to the footer, which by widget, I mean little modules like I want to add little blocks to my footer. In this case, you can only add to the footer. You can add a paragraph of something, an image. You have a lot of blocks available here, which we'll see in a minute. Like if you want to have a video, just as a disclaimer, also these widgets are limited to whether you're paying or not. Some of them might not be available to you, but most of them are. And you also have access to the menus, which is what will show up at the top, which pages. And this here, you'll have the option to add the pages that you have in this list over here. So as you add new pages, like for example, you want to add a contact page, you can go here to the menus and just select it and add it to the menu. This, for example, this part of the plugins part, you don't have to worry about that because it's not available if you don't pay. And then we can go down here to the users. You'll have already a user set up for yourself that you can change. Well, you can change it. What you can change is the image, I think, but the image is not changed through WordPress. It's changed to a service sort of like Gravatar. Like this, it's the image that's already associated to your email, and that'll show up here. And we can go, tools is also something you don't have to worry about because marketing and earning money through the website is also only available if you pay. But if you go through the settings, there's a lot of stuff that you can customize, like your site title can be customized directly here, your icon, the language, the time zone you're using. And let me go through writing, which has a lot of important customization settings. Here, you can change how the dates are displayed. If the date is displayed on your article, like when you wrote it, you can change the format of that. You can also change how many blog posts are displayed at a time when you have a blog page. And you can create new types of content, like testimonials. And if you activate them, you can see over here that they show up as a new type of content. And portfolio projects, if you're working on a personal website that is a design portfolio, for example, or a development portfolio, and you want to divide them by projects. But before we start talking about that, let's talk about the content now, which I was leaving to the end because it's the largest topic here. I'm going to go to posts. And here, I'm going to go to the one that we already have as an example, which if you create a new one, you'll just see one of these pages empty. It used to be a lot harder to manage creating content in WordPress. Like you would need a larger introduction to this. But now it sort of looks like WordPress. It's very friendly. You get the title at the very top and you just go ahead and edit it like you're working in a word processor. And each paragraph is a block. And you'll see how each time I select one, I get this menu. Here, this icon is telling me what the block is. It's a paragraph. But in between paragraphs, I get this button to add block. And if I want to add a new one, I'll get all the options for blocks. You can browse all because these are not all the options. And you can go, for example, to add, maybe I want to add a YouTube video, and it'll just set me up for to enter a URL here, which is also very friendly. I just go to YouTube, get the YouTube video that I want to add, and enter the URL here as it is, and click embed. And if I, in the end, don't want a YouTube video, I can just click, I think here. Wait. Oh, here. I just remove the block, continue editing. This, for example, is a list block. And you can just start building your article or your page in this way. There's other settings that are available to you with this icon on the top here, and which will have, for example, settings for the blog that you're selecting, but also for all of the posts that you're creating, like whether it's visible to the public, the permanent link that you have here that you can actually change so that you have more control over how even the URL of your site will look at the end. The categories, and this is something important if you want to start blogging because you'll end up with a lot of content and you want to categorize it. You can add categories depending on the topics that you're going to be talking about, sort of like news. You add it and you can select it and select uncategorized. You can also have tags, which are sort of like what your hashtags would be, and create an alternative way to categorize your content. You can add a featured image, which is just the picture that will be associated to your article, an excerpt, which will be the brief text that appears when you get the list of blog posts, which is actually not necessary, because if you don't have an excerpt, the WordPress will just show up, will just show the first few lines of your article and just cut them off at dot, dot, dot. But if you want to have more control over that, you can just add an excerpt here. And then discussion, which is important, because if you don't want to allow comments, if you don't want to allow comments and save yourself that trouble, you can just remove them here or let them be allowed. And pingbacks and trackbacks. Pingbacks and trackbacks is if you, for example, like here, you add a link to another site. The pingback means that it'll tell that other site that you're referencing their site. And trackbacks is the other way around. If you are referencing another site, then it'll tell you that you're being talked about. So if you remove pingbacks, like telling other sites, it'll also not tell you if you're being referenced. That depends on how you want to work with this. And in this case, the post is already published, but if I'm working on it or I'm gonna edit it, I can switch it to draft, and that means it will not show up on the website. Let me go back to posts. Okay. And if you create a new post, it'll just show the same page, but empty. And it'll start saving it as a draft automatically. And eventually you can just hit publish if you're done with your content. Alex, if we have at any time questions or something, let me know, but I'm just gonna keep going.
Yeah, no questions yet, but I will let you know if there are any questions.
Okay. And then that's one type of content, that the posts are gonna be for the blog. They're articles specifically. If you go to the pages, it's pretty much the same, but if you add a new page, because it's gonna be something more permanent in your navigation, it gives you a template option. Like, it's already thinking about what you can add. Like, are you gonna add an about page? These are your options. Are you gonna add an image gallery? You have these options. Do you have a link in bio type of page, a portfolio? And of course, you can start off as a blank page and just roll with it and work the same way you would work with a post, because at the end, both of them are pages. Let me go back. So, testimonials and portfolio. They are both pages as well. Like, if you create a new one, you'll get the same empty template. Let me just add, for example, I'm doing a testimonial. He was great to work with, and publish, just to show you how you can take advantage of testimonials. So now I have one. I'm gonna go to my pages, and this one, the one that I'm using as my home page, I can edit it around here, for example, here, and add a block. If you're gonna show testimonials in a theme that doesn't already have them, because some of them already have them shown, as well, as long as you activate them, of course, you need a shortcode. Shortcodes are the sort of the code that uses WordPress really code. It's just sort of a way of telling WordPress, hey, bring this content over here. And it's very direct. Just write testimonials between brackets. And I'm going to go update. Okay, wait a minute. I don't know how to change the sharing. Let me stop sharing for a second.
Yeah, I think you have to stop sharing and then share again.
Yeah. Okay.
You can
Because
also
I was
share.
just sharing because I was just sharing a tab and this is opening in other tabs. Okay.
Yeah.
Which one was I think it's this one. Yeah. So now where I added the shortcode, instead of just saying testimonials between brackets, we get the testimonials, and they're displayed in a very simple way. Just the text underneath my name, and then the name that links to the page of the testimonial. And you can work sort of the same way with portfolio. Just add the projects and bring them up with a shortcode. I think because you don't have to learn by heart how you need to get this. When you go to settings and you activate these types of content in writing, here it says how to bring them up. You can display them using the shortcode testimonials. You can display them using the shortcode portfolio. So this way you always know. You can, if you forget how to display them, it'll say here. You just go get a block of shortcode and use the shortcode portfolio, and that's what'll bring your portfolio projects. It also gives you sort of an introduction of what that type of content is if you want to know more in-depth information. So you don't have to panic. It's not very complicated. And even if you find it complicated, the WordPress will take you along with all of the process. Let me see. You have other settings to manipulate here, like discussion. And it's the same thing that we were talking about when we were showing the page, whether you're going to allow comments, whether you want them first pending so that you can approve them later, just so that no spam or rude comments go directly to your site. Stuff like that you can manage through here. You can also sort of manage how your site will be read. Like, for example, if my your homepage display right now, it displays a static page, the homepage from my list of pages. But you can also tell it to display your latest posts. If you're gonna basically do a blog, you don't need to display first a homepage. You can just display your posts, and that'll be your homepage. How many blog posts are gonna be shown and stuff like that, how it's gonna be read in your site. You can alter it here. Also the media, what sizes are gonna be shown. Like whenever you show an image, it gives you an option to show it in a size, but it gives you a size as a name: thumbnail size, medium, large, and you can alternate this the sizes here. You can change them, how many pixels wide or tall they're gonna be. And I think that is mostly it. Whenever you go to here to the site title, I haven't changed it, but it's just site title, but you can see how your site is looking. You can also, through the same account, add new sites. Let me see if I can find where, because it throws off my whole layout. Also, full disclosure as well, when you start off a site, it's not published. Let me see how name your site. Okay, let me put a name. Say settings. Okay, go to my home. It's not letting me because it's my menu is not letting me see it. Let me see. Okay, preview. Okay, here. It tells you your site hasn't been launched yet. So it's still not visible if you give someone the URL, but you can just launch site. And again, it'll go through the whole paywall, and you can just tell it to skip purchase for now. You can, if you eventually decide to buy a domain, you can do it at any time. And again, here, start with a free site. And now it should be live. Now, the reason I launched this, and I actually recommend that you guys launch it, because some of the designs for your themes might break just because of that bar that you get at the top that says it's not public yet. It might break some of the designs, for example, the ones that have a sticky menu at the top. And really, this is not the 90s. If you launch your site, you're not going to get traffic immediately. I think by now we all know that getting traffic to our sites, it's a bit more complicated than that. So if you launch it, doesn't really make a lot of difference. You can just start off launching it if you see that your design is breaking and you're like seeing something weird. It might be because of that bar that you have at the top. And I think that's pretty much it, because you can't really customize a lot more stuff. When you're seeing your site, by the way, when you're just browsing through your site as yourself, when you're logged in, let me just remove all of this. It'll show you this bar at the top that'll just give you the option to start editing at any time. Like, for example, right? And it'll bring you to a new page. It's just so that you are browsing through your site and immediately have the option to continue adding content. And so you can just actively be browsing as yourself and editing your content. But other than that, that's pretty much it. I don't know if there's any questions on what we have been seeing.
Yeah, I actually put a question there. So in
Okay.
one of the other workshops, someone said something about if you create your site with WordPress and then you want to change to a custom domain, they said that it would be hard, but I'm not sure. So do you know the steps to like change your domain if you already have the wordpress.com and then you want to change to your own domain? Can you maybe show the steps on how to purchase the domain from WordPress or something like that?
Okay, let me see. It should be fairly easy, because it's, as you saw, there's a lot of parts where it gives you the paywall. You can change your site. Here, did you want to add a custom domain instead? I think this is... Oh, I need to verify my email. But once you verify your email through, because otherwise you might be anyone, it just gives you right here the plans to purchase your domain. And this this price depends highly on the domain that you chose, because maybe it changes price depending on how for it, and maybe some of the .coms that you're looking for are not available. So that's a way to do options, like if you want an .org or stuff like that, and pricing options. But you just can select here, verify my email through the process.
I think that's fine.
Activate.
You don't have to do that if you don't want to.
Okay, but you can just go through the settings and it'll give you the option to add the domain through there. And I mean,
Yeah.
that's how you have to make it easy for you.
There's another question from Nia. What's the biggest advantage of using WordPress instead of Wix or something like that?
I think the biggest advantage is precisely the thing that I said at the beginning, that it gives a gateway to changing to a more complicated CMS later on. And to get, and you get actually install Word, all the plugins and stuff on what that will look like. It of course can look a lot more complicated. It's a very good beginning, but you can do eventually with Drupal. This is actually, if you don't want to get technical, the biggest the fact that you can edit pages as if you were working on a Word document, which is something that we're all really.
Thank you. There's another question from Veronica. Hi, Pam. In the case you acquired the domain from a third party like HostGator, is there a way to connect that domain too?
So, but I don't know if that they were mentioning that is harder, because it did show up as an option to have your own. Because I think I see an option here. Here, buy a custom domain or redirect the site. So if you already have your domain, I think you can do this, but also because they are hosting your site, so they'll also charge for it, even if you are not buying the domain there. You might get charged for it, but it does.
And I know that you have like a podcast and everything set up, No Megas Leer, and I really like your site. So can you just show your site really quick and guide us through whatever you did? You don't have to go through like the actual dashboard, just put the site and
Sure.
maybe guide us a little bit how you did that, because it's a pretty cool site.
Okay, give me a second. I'm gonna put it here.
And a little commercial for everyone listening. If you speak Spanish and you don't like to read, you can go to nomehagasleer.com and you will be able to hear all of these awesome episodes where Pam and Nia tell us about their books that they're reading, so you don't have to read them.
You can also like reading, but the fact is that there's so many books that you would need more than a lifetime to read them all. So if certain, I read them for you. And it is WordPress. Here, what we did was look for a template, looked at what we wanted, and through the customized options that WordPress gives you, like for this is the one that we were doing in the example, you have the customized here, and you can change. For example, it gives you options color palettes, like if you don't want to be red, it can be green or blue, or you can directly alter it here.
We're just seeing the
Oh,
website. I don't know if you're sharing
I
something else.
I just shared a tab again.
Yeah, no worries.
Here, this is what I was saying. Yeah, so it has predetermined color palettes, all the color stuff. But if you want, you can do it. Like you can go and alter the colors here and come up with your own color palette, which is what we did with the No Me Hagas Layer site, which in purple and other and pages to do this top here. We have a list of all our episodes by name or by that we read, and you can just go direct. It's a static page that I edit uh, as we go and start adding stuff. And these little things are just a little hack that I added. There's a site that allows you to embed icons without actually an image, and that have them as titles, and that's how we Twitter and to the Instagram. So that's little hacks that you can do with the menu. But up with a site as customized as this, just moving the options that we talked about.
I know that you could do all of that in Wix. I thought it, yeah, sorry, on WordPress. I thought it was just like for a blog and that's it. I didn't know that you could actually create a whole site so easily. So that's great. We have another question from Vikas. If I want to have a video blog and I want to allow with a password to allow to use or pay and use that kind of stuff, is it possible to manage with Wix or WordPress or something? Or do we have to go for any other sites to support that kind of use case?
I think
I guess you
it's
mean like,
if I
yeah,
think
go
if you
ahead.
want to have a paywall, you would have to complicated. Does that come directly would allow you to do that? Maybe if the paid plan, but I'm not sure because I haven't used the paid plan. But if you press in whatever, just look for plugins for adding paywalls and that you can do. And the good thing about using WordPress that it's that once you get technical, even though it might seem difficult, WordPress has been around. So you can Google whatever you someone already tried to do it or did it. So there's so that you'll always have want to do.
and answering from Wix and Ghost, which were our other two workshops that we did previously to this one. Just to let you know, because so yes, in Wix, if you use the Wix editor, you can do that, and if you use Ghost, you can do that. But Ghost is only for like the blog posts, so you would have to create one blog post per video to do that. But you can also have like walls to show only to like paid members and stuff like that. And in the Wix editor, I think it's per blog post or per page. So it also doesn't work per video as far as I know. Maybe Whitney can let us know if she knows. She's already here. um, but as far as I know, you can just do that per blog post or per page. All right. Are there any other questions? Pam, can you just go through really quick how to change the theme of your site if you didn't like what you did and then you want to change the appearance from like a predefined template or something like that?
Let me share again. The window, not. Okay. All of that will be here in appearance. When you click first thing that you get is the themes. But you don't have to change the theme. I mean, you can change the theme. Let me change. Actually, let me change. I like this one to actually show colors because it has a lot of color. Okay. And it sent me to do is to edit the homepage, already added content, and that's optional. I wanted it to the content to fill up the homepage, but you don't have to do that. This button that says customize. Everything that you have actually in your site. Went through the site identity part with title and the tagline, and I think one doesn't actually show a tagline. Oh yeah, it does here. But you and here it will have predetermined palettes in case you want to go through all the contrasts checking and everything. You can just directly here and it looking to your site, but you can just go for it and change them here. And in this case, say that you need to have very good contrast between your text and your background, because you can do pretty much anything. It'll, depending on the theme, is what is the options that of editing that it will give you. But I could just go and do stuff like, for example, this, and it'll let me. But of course, you don't want your site to look will be able to read it. I'd say you start from one of the color palettes and then edit. Start breaking of your site. You can do that already give you an idea of how to handle color, because I'm not trained in color theory, specific design stuff. You can go color.adobe.com and they will give you options of actually use, like they'll walk you through design concepts, like what's a triad color palette, which means in the color circle it'll get colors from the 3 points, 3 opposite points, and you can move it around. Colors, you can just go and reference them in WordPress. You can explore different color palettes. People already matched to look good, so that you have what colors here, and you don't end up with something that doesn't be appealing or going for. You can also and it will also give you options depending installed in or weather. That, by the way, it's divided between the body font, which means big large blocks of text, and the heading font, which is those titles. And you can just see how those fonts look like put together. That's basically what you can alter. You can, in theory, add CSS, but that's only available if you pay, and you don't have to worry about that if you're not looking. I would advise. But yeah, that's the customizing that you can do.
I think you stopped your video. Oh, no. She left. Okay. Well, I was just going to ask her if she can provide like any contacting method. So maybe just wait a few minutes to see if she comes back. Oh, there she is. Okay. You are on mute, I think. Yes, you're on mute.
My browser crashed, but I'm back.
Cool. Okay, so I was just going to ask you if you want to provide us like a website or a Twitter or an Instagram or whatever you want to share so we can follow you and ask you questions.
Oh, sure. I'm a big Instagram fan, so you can find me in podcast.pam on Instagram. And I'm on Polywork in case anyone is there. And on like this, and you can always add me on LinkedIn. But if you um, just let me know where you know me from so that I know where the invitation is coming.
Awesome. So follow her on Instagram at podcast.pam, on Polywork at the Pam. And you can see her site in sketchypam.wordpress.com. All right. Thank you so much, Pamela. This was awesome. Um, does anyone else have any more questions? Also, Polywork rocks, by the way.
Yeah, I've been enjoying using Polywork.
Hi, Liliana. There's a question to see the other recorded videos. Yes, let me send the link right away. It's going to be in the same page uh, where you RSVP'd. But let me send it again in the chat. There. So meetups.mulesoft.com/women who mule. The link may change in a near future. So if you go to meetups.mulesoft.com, you will see all of the chapters and you just have to find the Women Who Mule one and you will see the past events. If you click on the Weeks workshop or in the Ghost workshop, you will be able to see the recording there. And same for this one. If you go to the WordPress link that we have where you RSVP'd and joined, I just put it in the chat again, you will be able to see the recording there as well. So you can create your WordPress site from the beginning. Thanks to Pam. All right. I would I will probably put this recording up in today in like a few hours, but if not, then for the rest of the week it will be there somewhere sometime on the rest of the week. All right. Thank you so much, Pam, for everything. And do you want to maybe just really, really quickly talk about Women Who Code? Because, well, you're from there.
Sure. Women Who Code is it's already all over the world in 70 different cities, and it's a nonprofit organization focused on helping women succeed in technology careers. And I'm collaborating with the Monterrey, Mexico chapter, but there's network all over the world. I advise you to look for your local one if you want to join, and or donate or go to their events. They're always doing really great stuff of updating and showing new things. And yeah, it depends on where you live, but there's always something nearby.
Thank you. And also to let everyone know, you don't have to be a woman to get into any of these events, including Women Who Mule events. If you're an ally or if you just want to join, you can just go ahead and join. You don't have to be a woman. We don't discriminate. So, yes, just to let you know. All right. So that would be it for today, folks. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Pamela, for the very detailed demo. I loved it. I didn't know a lot of things about WordPress, so that's awesome.
Thank you
And
for
that's it.
listening.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.